Hi everyone and welcome to this new video where I'm going to show you how we approach melodic recognition skills in the use your ear method. So I'm going to show you an exercise and I'm going to show you how to practice it, what are the common mistakes that people usually fall into when practicing it, and in the description section below you will also find a link where you can download all the audio files and the solution files related to this exercise. Before we go ahead with this video, please subscribe to the channel. If you're interested in your training, this is the perfect channel for you because we have a lot of tutorials and we will continue to upload a lot of new tutorials about your training. So if you don't want to miss them, click the subscribe button below and also don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so you will be notified every time we publish a new YouTube video. Lastly, don't forget to check out our free online workshop. It's a 3-hour-long workshop which is packed with valuable information and a ton of actionable content like exercises and tips, tricks, and suggestions about how you should practice your training depending on your current level. So again, if you're interested in your training, you don't want to miss out on it. For now, you can register to it for free by clicking the link in the description section below. Don't wait to do it because we don't know if it's going to remain free for long. Okay, back to the main topic of this video. Basically, we're seeing that some people are asking us whether we can show some exercises and to show them how we approach your training on a practical level, because of course they understand all the theory and all the other aspects that we already shared in other videos, but they don't have a clear idea on how we apply these concepts in practice. And so we decided to create this video in order to address those questions and to show you on a practical level how we're able to help students develop advanced ear training skills no matter their current level. So of course in this video we're going to show you just one exercise, whereas our method includes over 60 different types of exercises and all of them include a multiple level of difficulties. So if we would have to show you our entire method, there will definitely be too much content to talk about in just a YouTube video. So the exercise I'm going to show you is going to be a melodic recognition exercise. So it will be focused on melodic recognition skills and it won't take into account a lot of different sub-skills that are indeed important to the development of your relative pitch skills, but you should take it as an example. So even though this exercise might not be useful for you because maybe it's too advanced or maybe it's too easy for you, by following this explanation you will understand how we approach your training in practice. So I think you will definitely get a much clearer idea on how our method works and also on how you should practice your training in a more effective way if you maybe are stuck on some exercises and you don't see improvement after practicing them for a long time. So I expect that at the end of this video you will have an alternative to the current methodology you're using. Maybe you are practicing your training following the interval method, which we don't suggest you do. We have a specific video where I talk about that, where I explain in depth why the interval method is an ineffective method, and I show you all the rigorous scientific studies that backs this up. I will put a link up here and in the description section below so you can check out that video and have a clearer idea about that. Without digressing too much, this video will show you how you can approach melodic recognition skills without thinking of intervals, and what's the process that allows you to develop advanced melodic recognition skills. So I really suggest you watch it entirely. That being said, this exercise will be actually very helpful to some of you, and if you practice it following all the steps that are explained in the video, you will surely see noticeable improvements. But of course there are two big disclaimers to make. One important thing is to always remember that this is just one exercise. You can't develop advanced ear training skills by just practicing one exercise. This is totally impossible. In your training there are many sub-skills that you have to develop, and all of them develop in a specific step-by-step order. So you have to start with some sub-skills and then go on to next sub-skills, more advanced ones, etc. So this exercise is going to focus specifically on melodic recognition skills. And this is just one of the sub-skills that are important in your training. So for example, other sub-skills are short-term musical memory, tonic recognition, tonic retention, chord progression recognition, and these are just a few to give you an idea. But the important concept to understand at this point is that if you don't work on all of these different areas, and if you don't have a proper step-by-step method that shows you what you should focus on depending on your current level, you're not going to develop advanced ear training skills. Or let's say it will be very, very hard, painful, and frustrating for you to develop advanced ear training skills. And for sure, it will take a long, long time. So you shouldn't expect to be able to recognize all melodies in any kind of music, in any kind of context, in real time without even paying attention and without any effort by just practicing this exercise, because this is totally unrealistic. This exercise, as all the other exercises that are included in our course, will help you in a very specific moment of your learning process and will help you to develop very specific skills that are needed at that moment in order to be able to develop the next important skills. So you should take this exercise for what it is. You shouldn't expect too much from it. That being said, the second important disclaimer is related to what I've just said. So basically, this exercise might not be adequate for your current level. So it might be too easy for you. So basically, you can do it without even thinking, and it doesn't make sense practicing something that you can already do, because of course, it won't help you develop more advanced skills. Or on the other hand, it could be too difficult for you. So maybe you have to practice and to develop other important sub-skills before you can properly accomplish the tasks required by the exercise. Again, if you fall into these categories, you will still benefit a lot from watching this video because you will understand our approach and you will even get some ideas on how you can solve some struggles, how you can face your training in a different way, how you can maybe practice the same exercise that you're doing, but practice it in a different way, focusing on different things, etc. Nevertheless, for some of you, practicing this exercise will be helpful, and if you practice it for a couple weeks or a month, you will see noticeable improvement. You will see that you will start to get the correct answers without paying a lot of effort, and that you will be able to improve your melodic recognition skills. And this is how an effective ear training program works. It will help you to gradually develop your skills bit by bit. You won't wake up one day and have great ear training skills. You will develop them bit by bit. That's how we built the Use Your Ear method, to really guide you step by step from zero to developing advanced ear training skills, so that by doing little steps at a time, you don't get frustrated, you don't give up, you don't get stuck, so you will continue being motivated and making progress toward your goal, which is developing advanced ear training skills. Hope that's clear. I've already talked too much, so let's go in and talk about the exercise. Okay, basically the exercise works like this. You will hear a drone chord in the background, like this. And then you will hear some notes played on top of the drone chord, like this. The goal is to recognize the scale degree of each note that's played on top of the drone chord, okay? So let's see how you can do it. So first of all, let's understand what's the purpose of the drone chord. This exercise is based in the major key. All the notes that are going to be played will belong to the major key, and the drone chord is the tonic chord of the major key in which the exercise is played in. More specifically, the drone chord includes 3 notes. Basically, it includes the tonic note, the 5th above, and then the tonic note an octave below. So it's these 3 notes. These 3 notes together will help you stay grounded in the sound of the tonality. So basically it will be a lot easier to you to always feel the gravitational center on the actual 1st degree note, on the tonic note. So the purpose of the drone chord is to help you always remain grounded inside the tonality of the exercise. So in other words, will help you keep in mind the tonic note. And this is totally crucial, and you will understand why in a few seconds. A second important thing about the exercise is that it will only include 3 notes of the key, which are the first degree, the second degree, and the third degree. So the notes played on top could only be these 3 degrees of the scale. This is, of course, to simplify the exercise and to limit the options so that it will be easier for you to recognize them. And this is another very important thing that we do a lot in our method. We make things more gradual by limiting the options, but it's done in a very specific way because you can't always limit the options. And depending on the way in which you limit the options, you can get an exercise that is easier or harder. So this decision on how to limit the options should be done carefully by someone who has a little expertise in teaching ear training. A third important thing to understand is that notes could be played in multiple octaves. So basically, you will have to recognize only the first, second, and third degree of the scale, but they could be played in any octaves. And this will make the exercise a bit more difficult, especially to those of you that still struggle with pitch matching skills. So there are a couple skills that are needed in order for you to properly practice the exercise. The first skill is being able to match a pitch with your voice, so that basically you can produce any given note with your voice. Like this, for example. Another important skill that's required by the exercise is being able to sing the major scale. Like this, for example. And also in descending order, like If you're not able to perform these 2 basic tasks, then you will likely have to practice other types of exercises before you can benefit from the exercise that is shown in this video. And don't absolutely get discouraged by that. I started practicing ear training that I didn't have pitch matching skills. I wasn't able to sing the major scale by any means. It seemed impossible for me at that time. Right now, I don't have any problems in performing these 2 basic tasks, and I can do also more advanced things. We have specific exercises that are going to help you with developing these 2 basic skills. Of course, I'm not able to show you everything in this video because it's definitely going to be too much for just one single YouTube video. But again, if you're interested, you can sign up to our course or even book some lessons with our teachers. You will find everything on our website. You will see the link in the description section below. So back to the exercise. The first thing that you should do when you listen to the audio file is to listen to the drone file and so perceive the tonic note and sing the scale starting from the tonic note, going an octave up, and then coming back down to the tonic note. This is important because it allows you to really establish the sensation of the gravitational center on the tonic note of the key. Once that's established in your mind, so that your mind has a clear mental representation of the tonality in which the exercise is going to be played in, then the drone chord will help you keep that sensation grounded throughout the entire exercise, so that you will always clearly perceive the tonic note as the gravitational center of the key. And that is particularly important because of the common issues that often happen at this point in the learning process. We're going to see all of them in a few minutes. Just keep watching because that's going to be very helpful to you. So after you have the perception of the tonality going on, you should start practicing the exercise. You should start listening to the notes that are played at the top, and you should start to recognize them. At the beginning, I suggest you to go 1 note at a time. So basically you hear a note and then you can pause the audio file and recognize that note alone, and then you go on, you play the audio file and you go on the second note and so on. So the process I suggest you use at the beginning is what we refer to as the second mechanism. I made a specific video where I talk in depth about the 3 main mechanisms of note recognition skills. I suggest you watch it. You will find a link up here and in the description section below. I won't bother you with all the explanations about mechanisms of note recognition skills, but let's just understand what the second mechanism is exactly. Basically, the second mechanism is recognizing notes by thinking of the scale. And it's very simple to understand. So at this point in the exercise, you have the tonality clear to you, you know the scale, and you know how to sing the scale. let's say that, for example, the exercise is in this key. Okay, this is the scale of the exercise. And so you feel the drone chord playing at the top, and then this note is played. What you do is simply matching that note with your voice. So, then you simply sing the scale from that note down to the tonic note. So, so this is how you do it. And in order to recognize the notes, you only need to count the steps. In this case, there were 3 steps because I've just sang ha. This means that the note that I was trying to recognize was the 3rd degree of the scale. So this is how the second mechanism works, and this is how I suggest you start to recognize notes at the beginning. Practicing in this way for a while will help you for 2 main reasons. The first thing is that the second mechanism will get faster and faster and easier the more you use it. So you will get faster at singing the scale, on matching the note. You will also develop the ability to sing the scale in your head, and this will speed up a lot your ability to recognize notes using the second mechanism, because you won't have to sing out loud, but just thinking of the scale will be enough. And I don't know if you ever notice it, but you can think much faster than how you can sing. So just by using the second mechanism, you can get very fast at recognizing notes. That being said, another thing that will happen by practicing in this way is that you will indirectly develop your ability to use the first mechanism. The first mechanism is recognizing notes by feeling their keys colors. This is the fastest and most effortless way to recognize notes. It's very intuitive because you will be able to recognize the note by feeling the sensation that it has inside the tonality. So just by hearing the 3rd degree played, you will just recognize it as the 3rd degree, just like you recognize the color blue or red or green without even thinking. And this is a very important ability to develop. This exercise alone is not enough to develop that kind of skill, but it's still helpful and it will indirectly help you develop that ability. Again, I really suggest you check out our How to Recognize Melodies video. You will find a link in the description section below, where I explain in depth how the 3 main mechanisms of note recognition skills work and how you can develop them. That being said, now let's talk about the common mistakes that can happen when practicing this exercise and how you can avoid them. Well, the first mistake that can happen at this point in the learning process is that sometimes students are not still able to retain the tonic in their head. So they can lose the perception of the tonality, they can forget about what is the tonic note, so it becomes difficult to be able to sing the right scale and to figure out the note if you can't really have the perception of the tonic note. So what I suggest you do in this case is whenever you feel that you've lost the tonic, you just listen to the tonic drone chord and you try to sing the tonic note. If that's too difficult for you, well, maybe you have to practice some exercises about developing your tonic retention and recognition skills so that you can get better at that while you keep practicing this exercise. But a quick workaround that you can use is to just play the tonic note on your instrument so that you know what note is, and when you forget about it, you just play it again and you match it with your voice, and then you can sing the scale up and down again so that you reestablish the sound of the tonality in your head. Another very useful tip that will allow you to quickly establish a tonality is to play the 1-4-5-1 chord cadence. This is a very common cadence and it really put emphasis on the tonic of the tonality, and after you play that, you will surely feel, oh, that's the gravitational center. If you can't feel that, then you have to work on previous skills. Because if you can't feel the gravitational center after playing a 1-4-5-1 chord progression, it means that you probably have issues with pitch matching and you surely have difficulties in singing the scale. So you have to work on those aspects before you can clearly feel the sensation of the gravitational center. Again, don't get discouraged if you're in that kind of situation. I've started exactly at that level, so you can develop all of these skills starting from scratch. You don't need to have any prior skill whatsoever. You will just need a bit more time than a student who is already able to sing the scale and is comfortable at matching pitch, etc. But that doesn't matter. If you practice in the right way, you will surely develop these skills. Another common mistake that can happen when practicing this exercise is that you can sing the wrong note. So basically, instead of matching the same note, you will sing another note. And this will inevitably lead you to get a wrong answer. So there's nothing wrong with that. This sort of thing happens at the beginning, and by repeating the process, you will get more precise, more accurate, and you will be able to perform the exercise without any problems. Just notice the fact that you've sang another note and play both the correct note and the wrong note that you sang, and just hear the difference and sing the scale from the correct note to the tonic note, and then again from the wrong note to the tonic note, so that you will clearly understand that these two notes are different notes, and you will gradually learn to separate them. Another mistake that can happen is singing the scale incorrectly. This means that when singing from the target note down to the tonic note, you can hit notes that don't belong to the right scale. So basically notes that are outside of the key. This will happen if you don't have a clear representation of the tonality yet, so that maybe you haven't sang the scale at the beginning of the exercise, or maybe you still have a lot of difficulties singing the scale. So if this happens a lot to you, for sure you have to focus on developing the ability to sing the scale before you can properly perform this exercise. On the contrary, when you have a clear mental representation of the tonality, just singing a note that doesn't belong to the key is really noticeable, because it sounds out of key. And out of key has a very specific sound that, let's say, it's unpleasant most of the time. Of course, this is a generalization. It's not exactly that. There are many famous songs and melodies that includes notes that are outside the key. But in any case, whether they are pleasant or unpleasant, notes that don't belong to the main key of the song really stand out. Once you have a good mental representation of the tonality, you can clearly hear them without any problems. So it's a little bit like seeing a black dot on a white wall. That's how a note that doesn't belong to the key feels when you have a good mental representation of the tonality. That being said, this issue will likely not happen a lot in this exercise, because the exercise only includes the first, second, and third degree of the scale. So you actually have to sing a very small part of the scale, which is the beginning of the major scale. So it won't be a big problem for most of you to sing just this little portion of the scale. And if you do have issues, just work on internalizing the scale, on developing the skill to sing the scale in ascending and descending order. Again, in our course, we have specific exercises that will help you to gradually develop the ability to sing the scale, along with all the other skills that are needed in your training. So feel free to check it out if you need help with that. Again, this is just one single exercise. It's a very basic exercise. Just don't expect to recognize melodies without any effort after practicing this exercise, because that's an unrealistic expectation, and we don't want to set up these kind of false expectations at all. We really care about helping our students to succeed, and we care about you putting your trust in our work. So please keep that in mind. Again, you can download all the audio files related to this exercise with the link in the description section below. You will also find all the solution files, so that you will know exactly which answer you got right and you got wrong, and you can also measure your improvement over time. Lastly, please leave a like to this video, subscribe to the channel. If you have any kind of questions related to this exercise or also other things that might not be clear, please leave a comment down below. And lastly, don't forget to check out our 3-hour-long workshop. Is full of actionable content. You will find some very important your training exercises there. You will understand what's your current level, and based on that, you will be able to understand what you should focus on in your training. It's totally free for now, so don't miss out on it. You will find the link in the description section below. Lastly, feel free to check out our website. You will be able to sign up for our course if you want, and to also book some lessons with our qualified teachers. Again, link in the description section below. That's all for this video. I thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.